an island.
I'm so excited right now, I'm about to pee my pants for the warmth.
Me too, me too.
I thought you said we were going back to your place, that we'd be making out.
This is way better than making out. This is the final season of Lost, you stupid... Sorry.
I never saw this show. Is it good?
What?
Me neither. It's like Survivor, right?
Must have an end.
You two both have to leave right now or I'm gonna knee you in the cleavage.
Yeah, you guys can't be here because you're going to be asking questions the whole time and we're going to miss all the nuances.
I heard the nuances.
So just get us up to speed.
The show starts in like 5 minutes.
That should be plenty of time. It's just a TV show.
I will throw sulfuric acid in your face if you ever say those 5 words again.
I'm not leaving without some tonsil hockey.
Ditto.
Excuse us!
Show starts in like 5 minutes, then we'll leave without loving.
Let's tie him to the bed and then make out with him after Lost.
That's kidnapping. Let's recap the show in 5 minutes and then watch it with him and then make out with him.
It's impossible.
I believe in you, in us.
I love you. Let's do this.
Lost in 5 minutes on 3.
1, 2, 3. Lost in 5 minutes.
All right.
Lost is the story of the survivors of Oceanic Flight A15, which crashed on its way to LAX from Australia.
It crashed on a tropical island. The plane ripped in half, and we thought only the front end survived, but people from the tail survived too.
Hey, Professor Spoiler, that's not revealed until Season 2, Episode 4, Everybody Hates Hugo.
We have to spoil it. It's unavoidable.
True. The main characters are Jack, the leader, a doctor who cries more than most women.
John Locke, a spiritual bald guy who was in a wheelchair when he crashed onto the island, but now he can walk and he loves knives.
Kate, a gorgeous fugitive with a rockin' body who can kick your teeth out and makes dirt and sweat look like makeup and lingerie.
Sawyer, a gorgeous con man with a rockin' body who makes no shirt look like a tux.
Hurley, the heavyset comic relief. He's schizophrenic and won the lottery.
Saeed, the former Iraqi soldier who fixes transmitters and kills people with dishwashers.
And he talks just like that. Jin and Sun, a Korean married couple who speak Korean and are married.
Charlie, a heroin addict musician from a band called Driveshaft.
Claire, an Australian chick whose baby Aaron is maybe the savior of the world.
Michael, whose son Walt has magic powers. Vincent, the dog, might also have magic powers.
Shannon and Boone, half brother and sister who did it one time and die early enough that you don't need to remember them. Okay, so the plane crashes, people are dead. There's a polar bear on the island which Sawyer shoots. There's some kind of smoke monster who crushes the pilot and chases people around and makes roller coaster noises.
The island's inhabitants kidnap people and wear fake beards. These are the others. They are led by Ben, who is as crazy as these eyes would have you believe.
There are a series of underground hatches on the island. One of them has a computer with a button that has to be pressed every 108 minutes or bad stuff happens. Desmond used to be in charge of the button, and the one time he didn't press it, it made Flight A15 crash on the island. Desmond is Scottish, loves a girl named Penny, and lost the top buttons on his shirt.
The hatches were built by the Dharma Initiative, a group of scientists who came to the island in the 1970s. They wore jumpsuits, they had their own beer, and their own notebooks, and yes, that's why I made you wear that shirt.
Ben was in the Dharma Initiative as a kid until he met Richard Alpert, an other who never ages, and together they killed the Dharma Initiative with poison gas. Then Ben and the others moved into Dharmaville, a modern village in the center of the island.
Dharmaville is surrounded by a sonic fence that keeps the smoke monster out and kills people who walk through it when it's on.
Ageless Richard can walk through it, so he must not be a people.
Right.
I'm confused. Try chronological order.
Chronological order, okay.
Okay, in the 1800s, there's this guy named Jacob living on the island. He runs the island and he never ages. He has a nemesis whose name we don't know. They make a bet about this slave ship called the Black Rock that's about to crash onto the island. Jacob says they'll be good. Nemesis says they'll kill each other.
We don't know who was right there, but we do know that the Black Rock ends up in the middle of the island full of dynamite.
The next time we know about it is the 1950s when the US Army is running experiments on the island, including trying to detonate a hydrogen bomb.
Luckily, the Losties from the future show up and a physicist named Daniel tells them how to bury the bomb safely.
Because there's time travel.
Right.
The same energy source that crashed the plane allows for time travel and for people to leave the island and end up in Tunisia.
Right.
Also, you can turn a donkey wheel and move the whole island in time.
Exactly. In the 50s, Future Locke shows up and tells Richard he's going to lead the island someday. Richard is kind of like the advisor to the leader of the others, and they both answer to Jacob.
Eloise Hawking was the leader of the others, and after her, Charles Widmore. They had a son together, Daniel the physicist. So, the others live in the jungle, and they sometimes seem to move around in a paranormal way that involves whispers that tickles. They are doing fine and dandy, and then the Dharma people show up, and they feud some, and then they truce it out.
And due to some time travel stuff, a bunch of the Losties from 2007 end up living on the island in the 1970s. Daniel is with them, as are Charlotte and Miles, all of whom were born on the island. Miles talks to dead people, and Charlotte is snarky, and then dead.
Daniel Charlotte Miles got to the island on a freighter sent by Charles Widmore. Widmore got banished from the island by Ben for having a child on the mainland.
Whoever moves the island gets instantly sent off the island and can never come back, although Ben moves it later and then finds a way to come back.
Charles finds the island through the captain's log of the Black Rock, that slave ship from the 1800s.
Anywho, Daniel comes up with the idea of detonating the hydrogen bomb we told his mom to bury in the 1950s, thereby keeping the Dharma folk from drilling in the spot where Desmond's hatch was, thereby preventing the release of energy that made the hatch necessary, thereby making Flight A15 never crash.
Daniel's mom, Eloise, sent him on this mission, but wouldn't you know it, her younger 1970s self kills him.
I hate it when that happens. But the rest of the Losties succeed in detonating the bomb thanks to Juliet at the bottom of a well with a rock.
Juliet is another who was brought to the island to solve the problem of all the women who get pregnant on the island dying before the baby is born. She gives me a case of the boners like no one else on Lost.
Even Bernard?
Especially Bernard.
We didn't know what happened when they blew the bomb because that was the finale of last season.
So that's everything?
We're still in the 70s, you nut!
In the late 80s, a team of French scientists land on the island. The only one we care about is Danielle, the only one of them who doesn't go crazy and die. She survives on the island for over a decade after Ben steals her daughter and raises her. Her team was led to the island after hearing a transmission of the numbers.
4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. The numbers seemed cursed. Hurley won the lottery with them, and then bad stuff happened to all the people around him. The numbers were on Desmond's hatch, and they were the code you typed into the computer to keep the world from exploding.
At some point after that, a plane from Africa crashes on the island with a buttload of Virgin Mary statues filled with heroin that Charlie is excited by.
Then Flight 15 crashes. We meet the people from the tale, including Mr. Echo, an African priest whose brother was on the drug plane.
The others kidnap Walt because of his powers, and Michael betrays the Lossies to get him and his son off the island. The others used to come to and fro in a submarine they took from the Dharma people, and they had contact with the rest of the world, but Ben ended both of those perks.
Widmore's freighter comes and 6 people get off the island on him. Jack, Kate, Hurley, Saeed, Son, and Aaron. Desmond comes too. Well, they get off on a helicopter after Michael, acting as Ben's spy, delays the freighter from blowing up with liquid nitrogen.
To protect her from Widmore's peeps, Ben turns the donkey wheel and moves the island. The wheel gets stuck and sends people all over time on the island.
Locke turns the wheel again to stop the time jumps and saves everyone. Ben kills Locke and then convinces everyone else to come back to the island.
They do that in a plane that crashes back on the island, but in 1974.
Except for Ben's son, Locke, and Lapidus. Lapidus is a helicopter pilot who was supposed to be the pilot of Flight 815, but he couldn't make it because he was fluffing his chest hair or something.
And yes, Locke is back from the dead, or so we thought.
Turns out the guy from the 1800s who made a bet with Jacob is impersonating Locke so he could trick Ben into killing Jacob.
Which Ben does after the smoke monster judges him and his dead stolen daughter Alex tells him to.
And Jack's dead dad, Christian, shows up a lot and seems to help people.
And Claire disappears and is hanging with Christian, who's her dead dad. Her and Jack are half brother and sister.
Oh, and half the people we mentioned and a bunch of people we didn't get to are dead now. And I'm pretty sure aliens are involved somehow. We skipped a ton, but I think that's it. Time! Woo!
Consider yourself all caught up, you're welcome.
I'm totally confused. I have no idea what's going on.
Neither do we!